conversations that we have and conflict that we have are as a result of how we communicate.
We are human beings. We will have conflict. I used to be that girl that used to be like, I don't like confrontation. I don't like confrontation. But then Ayo pointed out to me, but you like confrontation with me. So it just...
10 laws of effective communication.
We have the ability to control ourselves when it comes to conflict.
You shall listen twice as much as you speak. And somebody says that's why God has given us 2 ears.
We actually need to know how to have arguments in a healthy way.
Pride is one of the reasons for conflict, because some people are so proud that they cannot pay attention.
As you grow older, you should be able to start to master how you deal with conflict.
A man giving feedback to his wife and saying, this food is very salty, this food is, don't you know how to cook?
Conflict is more than just, being able to win an argument.
And one of the keys for healthy conflict is effective communication. Everybody says, hey.
The different ways to deal with conflict. The thing is, we are human beings. We will have conflict. I used to be that girl that used to be like, I don't like confrontation. I don't like confrontation. But then Ayo pointed out to me, but you like confrontation with me. So it just depends on the person. Some of us at home, we can be very up and upright in our siblings' face and our parents' face, but when we get to work, yes, sorry, what would you like me to do? Would you want me to send in that email? So we have the ability to control ourselves when it comes to conflict. It's just when we feel like doing it. And I feel like as you grow older, you should be able to start to master how you deal with conflict. So even though you're a loud person, you actually don't need to shout. Exactly. Or even though you're a quiet person, you actually don't need to people don't need to walk over you. You can be quiet and assertive. You can be loud, but know how to hold an argument, or you don't have to be aggressive. You can let people know how you feel in the way you speak, and you can speak in a calm tone. We actually need to know how to have arguments in a healthy way, because people are going to throw around that word aggressive. People are going to throw around that word, oh, I felt intimidated, oh, this. So you need to be able to address your point in a concise and a clever and intelligent way, where they feel like, I'm actually dumb for even talking to this person. So conflict is more than just being able to win an argument. It's being able to do it in where the other person goes and thinks about the beginning of their own life. No. So I want you guys to also remember that. I want you to remember, I know it's a sad society that we're in, and once you learn this art, trust me, things will even be easier. And I knew I got to a point of conflict when my parents started apologizing to me. That's when I knew that. Ope? I was like, when they'll call me. But at the same time, I too have to, you can ask on Choir, there's been times recently, even up to last year, I had a full-blown argument with my mom. Like, I even cut the phone on her. And then then she stopped talking to me. And then I had to think to myself, like, would I like it if Michaela Mariah did that to me? I actually wouldn't. There was a better way to deal with conflict. And as an adult, you have to know how to apologize. But I'm getting too ahead of myself. Uncle Ayo will come and speak to you guys. But thank you. I had so much fun doing that with you guys, because it made me think as well. So with a big round of applause, can we just welcome Uncle Ayo?
Nice. I love that. I really enjoyed watching you guys play. And I think it was a really good idea, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of just actually, because a lot of the time we don't even know how we deal with stuff. But now, just pausing to think, you know what, I'd rather just send a text message than have that face-to-face conversation. And what I would say is that there are some conversations or some conflicts that should be face-to-face. Even though you're the text person. I remember when I was getting married, my aunt, she called my wife. She says, he's a good guy. For one of his weaknesses is that he's very impatient. You're going to have to be very patient with this guy. And me being the impatient person, I knew now by this time. That's why we always say it starts with self-awareness, right? So I knew that I was an impatient person as well. But I cannot now tell my wife that, listen, I'm impatient. You have to just deal with it. So since then, I have been working on my impatient behavior. Let us open to Proverbs 18 and 13. Proverbs 18, and I want to read it in three different versions, right? So he who answers a matter before he hears it, it is folly and shame to him. Okay, NLT.
Spouting off before listening to the facts is both shameful and foolish.
It's both shameful and foolish. Okay, it's not me that said it. Right? It's the words of the wisest man. Okay. It says it is shameful and foolish. And then let's listen to the message. So I think the message is kind of speaking like our common language. So the NKJV said, it is folly, it is shame, it is this. But this one just broke it down for us, right? It is what? Stupid and rude. And for me, it's like when you just pause and you just ponder on that. So think about the times where you have, because we all have, I have, right? Answered without listening, spoken without listening, assumed without listening. But what the book of Proverbs, the Bible is telling us that it is rude and it is stupid. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't actually. So a lot of the conversations that we have, right, and conflict that we have are as a result of how we communicate. Right? So the cause, going back to the causes of our conflict, it comes from, somebody said miscommunication. Isn't it? So it comes from poor communication or miscommunication, because this is how I say it. So poor communication begets misunderstandings, and then misunderstandings begets conflict. Right? So have I communicated what I intended to communicate in a nice, kind, easy to understand way, right? Have I communicated in such a way that this person can receive that information, right? So that's me as somebody who is talking, and the other person is listening. Am I listening to what they are saying, or am I listening to what I am saying? And this is where conflict starts, because somebody else is hearing something else. Right? And somebody is saying something else, and the other person is hearing something else. So, poor communication. So I think that is where I want us to start from on this journey. Right? And I want us to start from the 10 laws. Okay? We're going to talk about 10 laws of effective communication. So that's what we're going to deal with today. 10 laws of effective communication. The 10 laws. In fact, there's many. I think we have just grouped them into 10. 10 laws of effective communication. So wherever we stop today, because we're not going to get to 10 at all. So wherever we stop today, we stop. And then we carry on. So I think we've established a few things, right? That conflict is actually good. It's not a bad thing. Right? It's actually good. But the key thing is, it needs to be healthy. And one of the keys for healthy conflict is effective communication. Everybody says, hey, I know how to communicate. I'm a good communicator. I'm sure it's on your CV, isn't it? I'm a good communicator. I communicate effectively. But communication is a skill. So I'm constantly learning new ways to communicate, better ways to communicate. Right? Because if I can communicate more effectively, right, I can have conversations and resolve conflicts effectively. All of these things are skills. Nobody's really born with it. I mean, some people, yes, based on their temperament and their personality types, they will deal with stuff differently. But on the average, everybody needs to learn these different skills. All right, so stay with me. I remember the first fight that me and my wife had. I remember we're talking about effective communication. We're talking about conflict. Our very first conflict that we had was we were at London Bridge, right? And I always remember the first instance of everything. Maybe it's a gift that God gave me, or maybe something that everybody does. But I never forget the first time I met you. I remember the first time We spoke the first time I stepped into the church. I always remember these things. So this was our very first fight in London Bridge. You know, I was telling her that, listen, I've been looking for work for a while, because I was searching for work at the time. So I said, I've been looking for work and there's no job. So I told her that, listen, I'm going back. I want to go back to Nigeria. So I'm going to give myself 2 months. And then if after 2 months, nothing happens, I'm going to go back to Nigeria. And I didn't know I was asking for trouble. Because what she said then was, what I'm hearing you say is that you don't love me. Oh yeah. She says, somebody said valid. So rightfully so, she wasn't happy about it, right? But I never said I don't love you. So when it comes to communication now, as we're saying, so she says, what you're saying is, you don't love me. Because if you did, why would you leave me and say you're going to Nigeria? How would we make it work? Make it make sense. And I said, we'll make it work. You know, would you rather, so you know, my response to her was, would you rather that I'm here without a job? So that's what you want. You want me to be jobless. So that's me now saying what I am hearing based on what she was hearing. And then that was where we had our fight. And she says, oh no, I should leave her alone. She just wants to be by herself. And I said, you two leave me alone. I'll be okay. And then so she walked that way and I walked the opposite way. And we said goodbye. And then I just stormed away and walked. Now as I walked away, I was walking towards the so she was going to South London. I was going to North London. Okay, anybody from North London here? Sorry. So she was going to North, I was going to North, she was going to South. But I now, because I was angry, I now walked towards the South. And then she walked towards the North part of the platform. And then so obviously after realizing that I was now going towards the wrong part, I had to turn back. So she also realized that she was foolish too. So she too had to turn back. so when the Bible says it's rude and foolish, it's the same. That's what we're practicing there. So she turned back and I turned back. And then she was now walking this way. I was walking. You cannot avoid me, isn't it? So I was even remembering it, it's just making me laugh. So I was walking this way, she was walking towards me. So I was going to ignore her. She was also going, you know when you're looking like side eye and just walking. And then you're walking like that. I was going to ignore her. She was going to, but we couldn't ignore each other. So we now started laughing at our foolishness. And that was literally how we just squashed it. And we ended there. Many other things happened, but I'll give you that gist another day. But what I'm saying is, see how something so simple, you know, became what could have been a very bad, you know, argument, conflict that could actually have even ended our relationship that we were just starting, right? But thank God for many other things, including our friendship. We're able to scale through that, okay? So conflict is not bad. We actually learn about situations, how to deal with situations. We grow from conflict. And one of the key things that I'll be teaching and we'll be talking about during this season is, you know, the being able to reflect back on some conversations. Being able to reflect back. And that's how we grow from these things. Okay? So, the 10 laws of effective communication. Number one, the law of mindful listening. The law of mindful listening, or somebody else would say the law of active listening. Right? What does that law state? It says you shall listen twice as much as you speak. You shall listen twice as much as you speak. And somebody says that's why God has given us 2 ears. Isn't it? We have 1 mouth and 2 ears so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. The law of active listening. So what does active listening mean to you? Anybody? What does active listening, what does it mean to you? Please share. Listening to understand. So how can somebody listen to understand?
You listen less, more than you talk. So you talk less and you listen more.
Talk less and listen more. Talk less and listen more. I love that. What else?
Empathize with what the person is saying.
You emphasize what the person is saying. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of people, they're quiet and they do listen more than they talk, but they're actually just floating somewhere else with their brain.
Their mind.
They genuinely, they're like, yeah, and it seems like, oh, I'm such a good listener, but in reality, they're just dreaming.
It was the fairies.
So be present.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Be present. Okay. So it is possible to not be talking, but also not be present in that room.
Yeah.
It's possible to be quiet, but not still be listening. So listening is not just about not talking. So active listening is your presence. Okay. And that's one of the things that I've put down here. So thank you guys. Right. So you need to be present in that conversation. All right, you need to be present, and I put it, so be open-minded. You have to be open-minded. Be open-minded meaning that I am curious to what you have to say, right? So we're talking about we listen, we don't judge earlier on, right? And the funny thing about us as human beings is that what we do is that we don't listen, but we judge. So that challenge was we listen, we don't judge. And it was actually a positive challenge for those that actually did it, because we tried to do it. We actually did it. And, just listen to what I have to say and don't judge. Don't assume, because we jump into conclusions, isn't it? So don't assume and also don't judge. Just listen, right? So the way to listen actively and mindfully is to be open-minded. I'm not going to judge you by your cover. I'm not going to. So, scenario, you've come late, right? You've come late to a date, right? You've come late to a meeting, and I'm angry. Rightfully so. I have the right to be angry. You're wasting my time, isn't it? And then, but before you can even say anything, I'm not even curious to know what could have happened. Oh, there was delays with the train, which you cannot. It's not your fault that the train was delayed. You had a flat tire. You're involved in an accident. So many things would have happened, right? That meant you couldn't be there on time. Again, and maybe the network was bad. My battery died. So different things could have happened. But the average person is already stuck up. I already feel like you're late. You don't care about my time. You don't value my time. You don't value me. I am upset. If really you cared about me, then you would have shown up on time. But you didn't show up on time. I'm angry. Nobody said you shouldn't be angry. But you want to have a conversation and allow that conversation to happen. And that's what open-mindedness is. So I'm open-minded, right? And I'm not already locked up. There's so many of us, we are so, and that's the reason why conflict goes on and on and on, because we are stuck up in our ways, in our own thoughts. Nobody can advise me. Nobody can tell me what to do. This is what I plan to do. I must do it. No matter what you say, I must do it. So people are talking, giving you counsel, right? Even the person you're angry with is trying to talk to you, get across to you. No, I'm doing what's on my mind. You're closed-minded. And when you're closed-minded, you cannot listen. Because what happens then is like, okay, go on, I'm listening. And then you're fidgeting with your phone, isn't it? We do it. I've done it before. Okay, go ahead, go on, I'm listening. But no, you need to pay attention. That's how you practice active listening. I'm going to pay attention to you. I'm going to give you eye contact, right? Because I so much, and we do it all the time, and I think it still happened recently. I was like, no, I'm trying to talk to you. I just want to give you gist. You know when you come back from work and then you want to engage. So I wanted to engage my wife and just give her gist. This happened and that happened. This is just communication. And then I saw that. What am I even saying? On this trip, it was on this minister's trip. And then I saw that she was reading something. And I said, baby, I don't have your full attention. She says, no, you have my attention. I said, baby, you're reading something. She says, but I'm listening. I said, no, you're not listening. And she said, okay, I'm sorry. Then she stopped and gave me that full attention. So, because we were on video call. Okay? So, active listening is, I am open-minded. I am present in the room or in the Zoom. And I am paying attention. I think it was Joseph that said pride. Pride is one of the reasons for conflict, because some people are so proud that they cannot pay attention. Not paying attention comes from a place of pride. Like, I will not pay attention to you, like, because you have nothing to say. There's nothing that you want to say to me that is beneficial to me. So, pride. So it's not that we're broke. We're not paying attention because we're proud. So, number one, mindfulness. Mindful listening. Right? And then what about body language? What's your body language? So as you're seated now, we're all communicating something. Do we know that? When you sit down and you cross your leg a certain way, like Mivik, we are communicating something. When you sit down and cross your arm a certain way, you're communicating something. So what is your body language saying to me? Right? So as I am now, I know who is receptive of what I'm saying, because I'm the speaker now and you're the listener. Right? So I know who is actively listening, because somebody is on their phone looking, nodding their head and typing something. That's active listening, because I can see that you're following what I'm saying. Right? And then I can see someone else, not here, I'm just saying, I can see someone else that is just looking away, looking back, looking at the time. That tells me you're not listening to me. And the reason why it's a cause of conflict is that everybody wants full attention. So if I'm in a room and I'm trying to talk to you, give me your full attention. It's the same thing with children, I kid you not. These children, I have a 3-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 10-year-old. Even my 3-year-old would say, you are not listening. And I have to take the feedback. And even we, on the call, because it was myself and my wife, even we were feeling that, that was the compassion. You know what the husband was doing? He was laughing. So he was laughing, and I said, let's call him Bruno. I don't know why. Okay. I said, Bruno. I said, what's funny? You're the only one laughing here. He says, you don't understand. I said, there's nothing to understand. This woman is crying. Right? Say, you don't know. This is what she does. Why is she crying? I said, but she has a right to cry. She's crying because she is upset. And that is how she's dealing with that feeling. But he couldn't understand. And what I concluded was that he lacked empathy. And from there, we realized that was one of the key issues that they were going through. So she felt like, this guy does not even love me because... But he didn't understand the power of empathy. Because all what he needs to say when she's crying like that is, I understand why you feel that way. That's empathy. Empathy doesn't necessarily mean you cry with them. Isn't it? There's a difference between sympathy and empathy. Sometimes sympathy, you start crying with them and then you're pitiful and all of those. But empathy is just, I can actually feel what you're feeling. I can relate. And if I can feel what you're feeling, then my response will be different. So I would not laugh at your pain because I understand empathy. Are you getting what I'm saying? So him laughing, he had his wife, he was just, and it's not like he doesn't love his wife, but he was just laughing like, she has started again, she's playing, trying to be a victim, she's this and that. He's made so many conclusions in his head. But when you unpack everything, she had piled up so much pain and frustration because of what was happening. Are you getting it? So one of the ways to empathize is, you put yourself in their shoes. If I was in this person's shoes, how would I feel? Right? Somebody comes to you and says, I feel unappreciated, I feel this, I feel that, I'm tired, my work, my empathy. Sometimes empathy is just, I actually know how you feel. I remember there was a time when. So you also express your own feeling to collaborate with what they are saying. Are you getting it? So you may not say, I remember when, I know how you feel. I remember when my manager, did this and that to me. Empathy. So empathy, immediately now, I've communicated with this person. This person feels like this person understands me. This person is happy that they've come to speak to me about whatever issue. Are you getting it?
But I feel like we live in a time where a lot of people want to be understood, but they don't want to be compared. So saying something like, oh, I feel where you're coming from because when I was younger, so that happened. Yeah, but you don't know my pain. You haven't been through exactly what I've been through. So how could you even understand? And a lot of people have that thing from the second where you want to actually understand them, they kind of brush you away because they're like, how you can't live my life. And of course I haven't. But I'm trying to.
Exactly. So you have that, and again, that's why everybody needs healing. So the reason why that person responds in that way is that this person is hurt. This person is still going through whatever they're going through and has not healed from that. And because they've not healed from that, so they assume that you want to take my shine. Do you understand? So you want to help, you want to empathize, right? So this is a totally different bag, right, that we're opening. You want to empathize, but this person feels, you don't know what I'm going through. So don't try to act like you know what I'm going through. Meanwhile, if you actually understand, right, basic communication, and you understand and you've healed, you're coming from a place of healing, right? Your response is not going to be, hey, don't tell me that. You understand? So that's baggage and some other things that we'll still deal with, if that makes sense. Because the response is, oh, okay, thank you for listening. Even though you cannot understand fully what I've been through, right, or what I'm going through, and this is just an example, right? You can't understand fully what I'm going through. But when I tell you that, oh, I have gone through something similar, and it could be as little as, oh, I lost this, or I lost that, or as big as, oh, I lost a loved one, right? So when somebody is now also telling you, oh, I went through that, I understand how you feel, the response should not be, oh, no, you don't understand how I feel. Because this person saying I understand how you feel is only trying to empathize with you. Are you getting it? So that is the law of, and I think we're going to close here, right? So that is the law of, what's the law? The law of compassion or empathy. Okay? So we talked about the law of, bless you, the law of mindful listening or active listening. So this law of empathy and compassion, right? One of the key things is that you don't minimize their feelings. Okay, so we are very eager or quick to say things like, why would you be angry just because I did this? So just because you're hungry, you're crying. I'm allowed to cry because I'm hungry. It's my hunger, it's not yours. Isn't it? I'm the one that is hungry. I'm the one that knows how I'm feeling. Right? But as humans, we're quick to minimize feelings because we're like, why are you, what did I do? Why are you sad? Why are you feeling that way? No, you shouldn't. No. You're allowed to feel, they're allowed to feel that way. Right? So don't minimize feelings. Because the moment you minimize feelings, you're not showing empathy. The moment you say, oh, just get off.
I feel like as I've gotten older, I've noticed as well with a lot of people, nothing is that deep until it happens to them. So how do you have a healthy conflict with somebody, you're going through something, you're expressing it to them, they're like, oh, but I don't think they meant it that way, but I didn't ask you what they meant. I'm telling you how I'm feeling, but it's like, because they're not going through it, they've never experienced, oh, it's not that deep. She's just she's overreacted.
Yeah.
And then when it happens to them, you want me to be sympathetic towards you, but when I was dealing, it was
you didn't. Exactly. And that's what empathy is. Because sometimes it's not happened to you, but you have to put yourself in that position. You have to imagine, if this was to happen to me, and like you said, it is only now when it has now happened that you actually now have a feeling, you actually now know what that feels like, right? So empathy, all of these things that we're saying it comes from practice. You have to practice it. No one is really born with these things. But the more you practice it, then the more you can empathize with your friends, with your colleagues, with your partner, with whoever, with your siblings, right?
Yeah, I feel like I do that actually sometimes, like with my siblings especially. I'll let them know that it's not that deep. Like when one of my siblings was going through their first heartbreak and they felt like it was the end of the world, I let them know that I've been there. Like, well, 14 years old, I thought my world was shattered. I thought I'd never fall in love again. But it was like you kind of need to get the perspective in of, I feel you, but listen, this is just the beginning. Like, there's much more coming for you. So there's a way to say it's not that deep without minimizing the feeling that you're in right now.
Yeah, totally agree. And all of these things depend on the relationship as well. So we're talking about stronger relationships, right? So there's some relationships that are stronger than the other relationships, right? And there's a way that you speak to your sibling that is different from how you speak to a colleague. There's a way that you speak to a friend, a close friend, that is different from how you speak to a friend that you're not so close to. So understanding the different people, right, and the different ways that you communicate with them, you know, it's all part of that awareness, right? So I'm aware of how I'll speak to you, when I'll speak to you, different from how I'll speak to a friend or my wife, when I'll speak to, and how we do that. Does that make sense? So yes, it is possible that you're saying, oh, it is not that deep. But who are you telling it is not that deep? Do you have that sort of relationship? Are you getting what I'm saying? And it takes mindfulness still to understand that, okay, I can share this with this person, or I can say this to this person and this person knows that I love them, and that whatever I'm saying, it comes from a place of love, as against I don't care. Do you understand? So when you tell your sister, come on, don't worry about that, I've been through that, don't worry, you'll overcome, it's not that deep, trust me. You know, she understands. You're like, are you sure? It's different from, what's wrong with you? It's not that deep. And then you just go away. So it's also the tone of your voice, how you're communicating what you're saying, the time you're communicating what you're saying. Do you understand? That would also determine how it is received. Okay? Yeah. So by the way, let us just do questions now because we're rounding up.
Sorry, you said something about the time, and it's made me reflect on something I saw a few weeks back. And there was this guy saying that he's always honest, but sometimes a delayed honesty is better than in the moment. So
wisdom will teach you. Wisdom even in marriage, right? Wisdom will teach you, and it's not like you're lying, right? It is that you're careful. Okay. You don't want to break somebody's heart. You don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So even when in marriage, as close as you are with your spouse, as close as I am with my spouse, I need to choose my words carefully, right? And it's not that I'm trying to lie. So it's just kind of, and we've seen this and we've dealt with situations, right? A man giving feedback to his wife and saying, this food is very salty. This food is, don't you know how to cook? So there's, don't you know how to cook? Or, do you understand? Or, I don't know, maybe I have COVID. So it might be that I'm still recovering from COVID, but the salt is like, do you understand? The times that we give ourselves feedback, right? But how you say it matters so much. It determines whether I'm going to laugh about it or whether I'm going to cry about it. And that's emotional intelligence. So correct about the play was really good. However, but you cannot say it immediately when somebody is excited.